Alright YouTube, on this episode of Oli Paints, we're going to just stick you on a GoPro and I'm going to bring you along for a complete respray on this 2018 Hyundai Tucson. Alright guys, like I said, this whole episode, I'm gonna just put you guys on my helmet. This job has already been totally masked up, totally cleaned. I glass cleaner first, wax and grease second, used microfiber throughout. I'm going to spray sealer, base, and clear coat. I'm gonna utilize the slow reducer in my sealer. So it'll take this a while to dry, but I can chase a wet edge from bottom up and over. So I don't have any dry spray or anything like that. The same is gonna go for when I clear this. But yeah, I'm gonna just stick you guys on my helmet so you guys get a first-hand view of what a job like this really looks like and how it is to spray. Because it is so big, it's very hard for me to like stop while I'm working. So I'm gonna just do a voiceover through this video and kind of explain what I'm doing while you see me do it. So without further ado, I'm gonna go mix sealer up. I'll get you guys on my helmet and we'll go ahead and start this job. All right, guys, so we're just gonna start this off straining our sealer. I pretty much strained everything but my clear throughout this job, even though there's a filter in my RPS cup. I just like to strain everything. I mixed up 2 of these 20-ounce RPS, and that pretty much did it. And as I said before, I used US 5, which is a slow reducer. Since this is a complete, I needed every chance I could get to keep a wet edge. And as you see right here, I'm just hitting it with the static gun, basically blowing it all off, tack ragging it. This static gun from OnStar honestly makes a huge difference. It's nice because, as you could see, you could use it like a blowgun because it actually puts out some air. All the other ones that I've ever tried, they just kind of piss out air and it's pointless. It takes forever to just blow something down. As you can see here, I can actually keep it moving and I blow off the entire job. I don't think I filmed the whole thing, but even the paper, just simple, blow the static gun over it. Nothing will be attracted to it, especially those holes that you see in the on the fender and quarter. Make sure you hit those with air because any bit of dust or any dirt that's living in there, you want to make sure that you remove that. Honestly, the biggest thing with the static gun is it promotes really good habits. This OnStar, because it has that case in the booth, it stays nice and clean, and I just tend to use it on every single job. Even if I just do it at the very beginning like you see me doing here, it does make a difference because it keeps any bit of that overspray that's kind of just floating around in the booth from landing on the car. It is, yeah, I enjoy using them. What you see me doing here is I'm just starting sealer. Because this is a complete, I walk the whole entire side. I know some guys like to break it up, and usually I'll break it up panel by panel. But on completes like this, I really want to avoid getting any kind of buildup on any of my edges. So I just walk the whole thing. I mean, I walked up and down this whole car so many times today that I couldn't even tell you how many times. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But it's just one of them things. You got to do what you got to do. And for the record, this was a hail job. So there are some cut throughs. I'm well aware. That's why I'm sealing everything. And as you'll see when I go to base coat it, there was some stuff that I found even after sealer that I wasn't 100% happy with. So I did sand out some of those imperfections. Just that kind of stuff is bound to happen when you're doing a job this large. Yeah, we also did a roof replacement. This was a new roof, new hood, and then the rest was all repaired because this car is like a 2018 with 105,000 miles, I believe. So it's not exactly new. And to be completely honest, this paint job is probably going to outlive the car itself. This does have that notorious Hyundai 2.4 that tends to grenade itself, so there's that.
Yeah, you just see here, I'm just spraying this sealer on nice and wet. I did use US5, which is our like hot weather reducer. And the reason I used that was that way when I go up and over, I just maintain that wet edge. So you see me here, I decided to just go all the way with the hood, and then I'll do the roof after. So it's pretty much you have to pick which one you chase the wet edge with. It can be kind of a pain in the butt, but for the most part, the only time I didn't chase it on the hood first was with base coat, because really you're not trying to keep it super wet, it's just base coat. But yeah, I've had a lot of guys like comment, oh, I like to spray only top down or this and that. And I mean, here I spray bottom up, top down. Like it seriously does not matter how you do it, especially in a downdraft booth like this. You can spray it however you want to spray. You see me there, I forgot to pop the top. But it does not matter as long as you're chasing that wet edge up and over the vehicle. Like, you're gonna have good results. And if I'm being honest, like it's a good thing that our sealer is pretty easily sandable, because the stuff that I had to sand out of this, I was pretty frustrated at about 1 o'clock today. It definitely added a ton of time, but that's unfortunately I don't get to prep these cars. I have 2 preppers and one that's kind of green, so yeah, it is what it is. But again, I'm just walking the entire thing. I'll tell you this much, by the end of this job, I was so tired of walking. But it did come out pretty dang good, so it was definitely worth it. And I didn't have any weird buildup on all those edges, because that's never fun to fix. You end up sitting there with a block and trying not to cut through, and when you cut through, then you're repainting the panel. It made more sense to me to just walk the thing. And then this is the other part of it, the lift gate. This is just a repair on the top, and then it just had a couple of dents right on the top of this gate. The funny thing is I've sprayed this car a few times already. I can't remember. I sprayed the filler panel on the lower part of the lift gate a month ago, and then I've sprayed both bumper covers, I'm trying to remember, probably last year. And then I think I've done a quarter panel repair. Oh yeah, and I was showing you, that's my 3300 GTO Segola. It's a 1.3 Tech air cap. That gun's like 6 years old at this point, and it's been just my daily sealer gun for the last 3 or 4 years. I know I made that video at the 3300 before, and I'm telling you guys, they're awesome. Yeah, look how much I had to sand. Like, I was not a happy camper, but I'm spraying clear base coat over it because so I use my jitterbug sander in 800 grit lemon paper from Kovacs. In doing this layer of clear base just evens out the surface, fills any of the sand scratch, because I am spraying silver. I wanted it to be as smooth as I possibly could get it. But yeah, I had weird sand scratch down this side. I had just some goofy stuff all over it. So I just said, you know what, I'm not unmasking this. I'm not going through all that. I'll just sand it. I think I flashed it 2 times, so it sat in there for 40 minutes. And then I just took my jitterbug in and just got it fixed up. And this is our first coat of base. I only recorded, I only included the recording of this first coat on the whole thing, and then I did 2 more coats. The second coat I sprayed the exact same way you're seeing here. My third coat was just down both sides and the hood, and I did a cross coat, and the reason for that is this is a very coarse metallic. If you spray Sherwin, it's 9043 and 9044, so it's about as coarse as it gets. And even after my second coat, like it just needed one more cross coat, and it was ready for control coat. So that's why I figured I wouldn't bore you guys with the entire base coating process, because it did take a while. I did my first coat and then walked out, mixed more, came back, did my second coat, walked out, mixed more, came back in, did my cross coat, and yeah, then I included the control coat. And the control is one that like most people get confused about, but I will explain that when we get there. But you see, I just went halfway on the hood and then jumped right back up to the roof, finished the roof, and then caught this edge on the hood and just kept going that way. For base coat, it's not a big deal. For sealer and clear, where I'm like trying to keep a wet edge, I definitely finished out the hood and then went up top and finished out the roof, because the roof isn't seen as much as the hood is. So if I had a little bit of dry spray, it's like I could easily polish that on the roof, no harm, no foul. But the hood needs to stay wet, because that's something that everybody drives by, or walks by, excuse me. But yeah, I don't know if you guys can see what I'm standing on. It's just one of those little aluminum platforms. You can get those at Harbor Freight. They work pretty dang good. Plus, they're nice and easy to move around the booth. I have some of those like big, heavy steel catwalk stands, and if I'm doing like a Suburban or something like that, I'll use those. I don't like having to move them big, heavy things, and you stand up a heck of a lot taller with those. So that's why I use this little aluminum one. It just works. You can see it's easy to slide around. Oh yeah, and I found a little goofy spot on the roof too, so I UV primed it, and this job was real fun, man, I'm telling you. I've had nothing but like kind of goofy colors lately, but luckily I've been taking my sweet time and everything's been working out. I hate when that happens, when you get going on something and you forget to pop the top. You can see it. Even catching that wet edge as it was drying, like I'm not gonna have dry spray or anything like that with base coat, so it worked out just fine. And if you're wondering about the gun that I'm using a 4600 Segola. This is like kind of my daily driver. This is a 1.3 with the aqua cap, and I mean, for base coat, especially on a hard color like this, it's definitely my favorite. I know a lot of guys, they like DV1s, and those work awesome too. With this paint line, you have to spray it so wet, and this setup is perfect for that. I like the DV1 if I put like a 1.4 in it. That seems to jive pretty good. And on this side, I don't know why, but like I parked in the middle of these grates, but the way our booth is, it was so much tighter. I'm wearing 3M VersaFlow, and I kept bonking my battery pack on the booth wall, so that's why you see me. I just said, screw it, I'm gonna do the fender, and then it made it easier for me to not have to walk the whole thing. Yeah, this is pretty much how I do my first coat of base, just nice and wet. Chase it up and over. And then I think when this cuts back on, it'll be just my control coat. You can see like the base is laying down all right. Like I said, it's a pretty dang coarse color, so I had somebody the other day asking me about these RPS cups and if they really make a difference as far as flow. And honestly, so I got I think it's DPS, disposable paint cup system from Segola. It's essentially just a 1.0 PPS, and they're, just a PPS setup with the bag, and the flow, like, it made this gun so much slower. I don't like PPS, man. I like vented cups. Oh yeah, so here we go. This is after 2 more additional coats and that cross coat, like I had mentioned. This is a control coat. This is where everybody gets confused. If you're in water, like if you spray water, you already know what this is, but it's essentially just an orientation coat. So this is smoothing out all 3 of those layers and just getting all of the metallic set right. I dropped my PSI to about 18. and then you back up, you see me, I'm probably a foot, maybe a foot and some change away from the panel. Just a nice tight overlap, and you just walk it out, dust it on. Same thing in EnviroBase. It's the same in pretty much every single water. This hood, you can kind of see how I did a cross coat on it, because you can kind of see the stripes. These large flat panels, I don't know what it is, but they are so hard to make metallics lay nice and even on. I know I just made that video with 382E, and luckily that one worked out. I don't know if you guys can hear that alarm in the background. Here, let me be quiet for a second. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my filter on my VersaFlow apparently decided that it was done. Thankfully, the thing kept running, so I'm just hoping that Sherwin has another one tomorrow. And again, just like that Chevy, I'm doing a double control coat, cross coating it. And again, that was the move, because it came out pretty dang nice. Yeah, just evening everything out. You can see it's all looking pretty silky at this point. And you know what's weird is, like, roofs compared to hoods, like, you would think that a roof panel would tiger stripe like a hood does, but they just never do. I don't know why. I never really have blotchiness in roofs. Because you can see this one. This was just 2 coats. I didn't have to cross coat this or do a third or anything. And it laid down nice and smooth. Yeah, just like all the other coats, I'm just walking, end to end. I don't get to do completes very often, and to be quite honest, I'm pretty glad that I don't. Because this was a ton of work. And even just masking this job, like filling all the jams, getting everything nice and tight. I mean, it took me from noon until like 4:30 to get this sprayed, so like 4.5 hours. That was obviously after I had to basically re-prep all those spots. And then from 7 until about 11, I just was in here masking. Alright, so that's the base coat stage done. That's after a control coat. Everything looks pretty dang good, even the hood. Everything's silky, exactly how I want it to be. I don't see any striping, no model, no nothing. I was pretty much talking to myself throughout this whole video. Yeah, and I was saying that I'm going to flash it for 20 minutes. And this is time for clear. You see, I'm just blowing myself off using that air gun. Making sure I don't have any metallic just chilling on me. And for clear, I used CC250 with US5, just like my sealer, because I wanted it to be nice and slow. Because this go around, it was very, very, very important to keep that wet edge up and over. So you'll see when I get to clearing this hood, I took it the entire way across, just like I did when I sealed it. And yeah, I just waited and then did the roof after I got the full hood all cleared up. Dude, it's crazy. It's like crazy doing these long voiceovers, because it's like you forget what to say, or you just brain fart and end up like watching yourself work. This is always my favorite part though. Like just smashing a good wet coat of clear coat. And again, I'm using Segola 4600. This one is 1.2 XL. So the XL is just, it's a half size. So I think Segola is the only one that does a half size. It's a 1.25. So it's only a 0.5 millimeter step down from the 1.3, but And you wouldn't think that it would make a huge difference, but if you were to spray this and then put the 1.3 in it, it's night and day. Like, this one just atomizes a little bit finer. It's a lot easier to control than the 1.3. The 1.3 is kind of a hose. When it's really hot, I like using the 1.3, but it's not super hot outside, so I'm rocking this one too. 1.2XL, excuse me. And you can see I also had another guy ask me about that Wacom digital gauge. I use that literally every day, all day, every gun. The reason being is I really like digital gauges. It's easy to pop it off, put it in my pocket if I want to, but it just keeps me super consistent. And I know, okay, if I set it at 28, I know what 28 PSI with this clear looks like. Or say I need a little bit more peel, I'll go 24, and I can replicate, like, say, a Dodge or even the new Chevys. They've got a lot of orange peel on them. I think this job I sprayed at 28. I figured since it was a complete, I'd just make it a little shinier than factory. I've also sprayed every part of this car at this point now, so I've never had a customer complain about something being a little bit too shiny. Yeah, I just included my first coat of clear coat in this because, again, I didn't want to bore you guys to death. I know you guys can hear that siren going off, huh? That's again, that's my VersaFlow. I'm gonna have to call Sherwin in the morning and get a new filter sent over because that's gonna drive me insane. Yeah, this was the home stretch of this job, and man, I was ready for it. And to be completely honest, I think I got like maybe 4 nibs in the whole job. And I just static gunned at the beginning. I was just very, very careful. You could see I was tack ragging my air hose off. I mean, I was making sure everything was super clean the whole time. And even after having the sand on both sides, it still came out so good. Yeah, I was overall pretty dang happy with how this job came out. I think right after this is the walk around. There it is. 2 coats with US 5. You can see the hood came out nice and glossy. Every part of this car came out super nice, super clean. Yeah, that was a lot of work, but man, it was so worth it. I'm so glad this job is done, though, to be honest with you. Oh boy. Yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, guys.
Alright guys, that's job done. As you've seen, that was a lot of work. That's why doing completes is not cheap. I know Brian made a video talking about why he's not cheap, and that it's the exact same thing here. It took me about all morning, so 4 hours to tape it, to get it just nice and tight. It took me almost 5 hours since I got back from lunch at noon to get this sprayed. It's 4:37. Holy cow. I hope you guys learned something. If you enjoyed that point of view, let me know in the comments section. I don't do completes often, but I can do these point of view videos more often if you guys like them. So definitely get at me in the comment section and let me know what you thought of this. And yeah, until next time, guys, thank you for watching. Consider hitting that subscribe button. The little bell notification just lets you know when I post new videos. And yeah, I appreciate all your guys' support thus far. It's been a lot of fun. In 2024, I'm going to be doing a heck of a lot more on this channel. So I hope you guys are looking forward to it, because I definitely am. I'll catch you guys on the next one.